G'day all, welcome back. We're talking Melbourne, we're talking Victoria, we're talking the crime central of Australia. That's what it's very quickly becoming at the moment. So today we're going to talk through Sky News Bulletin. I'm going to stop, I'm going to rant, I'm going to carry on as always. The original video is in the video description if you want to watch it uninterrupted.
This time of year is when businesses file their annual reports, We all have business reports all through the day, excellently covered by Ross Greenwood.
Rossi.
And normally it's all about, profit and loss, turnover and blah, blah. Only this year there was something else, something extra, something extraordinary. Because retailer after retailer has said, oh, by the way, there is something really sick in Victoria. It's the crime.
I'm going to say, this is why there's probably two reasons, in my opinion, this is an opinion, why I think this is happening. Number one, there are people who are battling, all right? They're struggling with the cost of living, and they've decided that they're going to do theft, through the checkouts, through weighing, a different item on the, automatic machine. So instead of it being a certain kind of expensive meat, you'll put a cheaper meat or whatever it may be. Maybe not meat, but fruit and vegetables. Or not scan items at all. Now, I think they can catch you pretty easily for that these days. I think there's a lot of that happening, so people just can't afford it. Then you've got gangs, I guess you'd call them, groups of teenagers out there running amok, swarming businesses, jumping, stealing boxes of cigarettes and alcohol and all that sort of stuff, which has been happening more and more. And you'll see some video clips of that coming up pretty soon. So I think that happens. There's two reasons, because they're just a pack of losers. That's the first one. But number two for me is very much to my first point, rebelling against the system, and don't have much going for them. There's not much opportunities. And also a lot of them, I won't say all, but a lot of them, if you look in the videos, they come from probably ethnic backgrounds that have they play second generation immigrants who are angry at the system for whatever reason, angry at the system that took them in. You can call me a racist, bigot. I've been called all things, bogan, whatever. But if you just look at the pictures, it just tells you what you need to see. Yes, you do get dodgy, like junkies who go in and steal razor blades and all that sort of stuff and try and sell them off for a bit of money to get it fixed. That's always been a thing. But if you've got in annual reports now, they're really calling out crime, huge problem here. Huge problem. And the thing is too, laws for bail. So these kids will go in there, get a slap on the wrist and come back out and keep doing it. There's no hard penalty. They're not like, oh, well, we're going to put you in jail for 5 years for doing that, or for 10 years. Put you in a boys' home or whatever it may be. It's no, he needs to reform, comes from a tough upbringing, let him back out, bang, out there, straight back out with his mates on the street, looking for the next, having a laugh at the system, looking for the next joint to case and target.
Now today, Wesfarmers, which runs Bunnings, Kmart, Officeworks, Target, says sales in Victoria are bad compared to everywhere else. And it says the only area where we're seeing stronger growth in Victoria is the sale of home security products.
That's incredible.
Within Bunnings. And it says that's quite a sad statistic, and it is. But what makes it even sadder is the video that Wesfarmers has released of attacks on Bunnings.
Look at this dude fully walking in with is that a gun? I don't know what it is. Or is it a knife? I can't see that properly.
Staff, not all in Victoria.
That's a gun. Shotgun.
Video that shows more violence from customers than I could ever have imagined.
Boom.
But Wesfarmers isn't alone in warning that something is sick in the state of Victoria in particular. Woolworths.
They didn't show that last one, but what dude just goes up and just throws a chick on the ground? Or what's wrong with people? What's wrong with society at the moment where people think it's I don't even think they think it's acceptable. They just do it, act out, and hit people like that who are just doing their jobs. To me, that's the complete screw. They seem to be locked up, put in a mental home for doing things like that. It could be mental health. But I still think that's a good enough excuse to be knocking someone out cold who's working in a shop.
It's reported that violent incidents at its stores around Australia jumped by over a quarter in the past year, but Victorian stores accounted for half that spike. A whole half. Same at Coles. Its Victorian stores suffer 40% more crime than its New South Wales one.
That is, think about that number. 40%, not 4%, which would still be high, 40%. What is going on here? The joint is absolutely going to the dogs, and I will get people in the comments saying, well, the statistics, G-Man, say that Victoria has never been safer. Maybe for some other variants of crime, but retail theft, home invasions, grand theft auto, hijacking people's cars. Like the list goes on. And the stuff you hear quite frequently. We've got gang attacks with machetes, organised crime with the cigarettes. It's really bad here in Victoria. I'm sure it's like that all over the country, but a lot of fire bombings and stuff like that going on. So crime is just escalating because, in my opinion, it's a reflection on society. Society's crumbling here.
Same again at Endeavour, that has Dan Murphy's and BWS. It reported that crime and violence from organised criminals is worse than Victoria. And on it goes. IGA says its Victorian stores get hit about once a week by thieves, often armed with machetes, but its stores in other states have no such problem. And Victorian police say that retail theft is up almost 40% in a year. 40%.
That's incredible. How often would you have seen this sort of thing happening like 20 years ago? Yes, there are hold-ups and people rob places and banks and stuff, but unless you wouldn't hear about people with 5 people running in, jumping the counter, 10 people running in, jumping the counter, swarming, grabbing things, running out. You wouldn't hear about that even a few years ago. Now it's happening now. Oh, what are your thoughts in the comments? Why do you think it's happening? I gave my reasons. These are just my thoughts and opinions. Definitely not a statistic. But what are your thoughts? I think as well in the city, if you guys have been to the city recently, I go there every now and again. And the joint's gone to the dogs. It's you don't feel safe there. All right. As a guy, yeah, I feel safe. I don't think anyone's going to attack me. But if my mother was there, or someone's sister was there, or your girlfriend or wife is there late at night, you're not going to feel safe having them out there, because you got all sorts of people with mental health issues walking around, screaming at themselves. The joint smells. You got piss all over the streets from homeless people, and it's not their fault they're homeless, but that's what comes with it. You got junkies running up and down Elizabeth Street. It's like the Living Dead. It's like Night of the Living Dead with all the zombies running out. It's an incredible sight to see. And I'll get people saying, "No, you're overreacting, G-Man." No, you could go to Elizabeth Street. I should go to Elizabeth Street. Go to Swanston Street. Take a look around at what you see there. Joint is effed with a capital F.
Sky News presenter James McPherson with a late debate here at Sky at 10 p.m, and Christy McSweeney, who's worked for Coalition Prime Ministers and Premiers. Christy, this state of Victoria seems to be in a moral rot. Why is it so much worse in Victoria than the rest of Australia?
Well, part of it is I feel that the government has taken its eye off the ball in keeping on top of legislation that needs to be enacted. They have made a significant deal out of recent amendments to their bail laws, but they had to be dragged kicking and screaming to do that, and they're still not strong enough. Another reason is, and I learnt this, Andrew, from going to a local crime community safety forum in my local electorate of Paran, represented by our fantastic Liberal MP, Rachel Westaway, first-term MP, who has done all the work and put together all the data of crime in our local area and across Victoria, which demonstrates that the police force in Victoria is about 2,000 police short of the benchmark numbers, and that's a combination of people on workers' compensation, people retiring at the latest EBA and not replacing them. And of course, people aren't wanting to go into the police force because the Victorian government put the police to work during COVID, putting them in a position where they had to arrest people out for a walk if they were 5.5 kilometres over or a kilometre over a 5K limit, or arresting people for having a friend round to watch the footy. And so the reputation of the police.
She missed one key thing there. I want to talk about something too. When I just first realised that this whole COVID lockdown thing, when all this ring of steel and all this stuff in Victoria was just out of control. So I think it was originally, I think it was in the first lockdown before we went to that real lockdown where you basically couldn't drive or go anywhere. I'd gone out for a walk, and I had driven to like a path I like to go walking along. On the way home, I wasn't even that far from home, probably 10 kilometres from home. On the way home, I went through, it was like a stop, like a check. They blocked the road off, like a booze bus type thing. And they're asking people where they are and why they're there and all this sort of thing. And when I pulled up, the guy gave me this real stern talking to because I was a couple of kilometres away from my suburb, and said, look, I should be booking you, but I'm going to let you off. I thought to myself, what world are we living in here? We got cops doing that. So I don't blame them. That does wreck the reputation of it. Like having to do the dirty work of people putting all these stupid rules in place, probably against a lot of their own personal values. There would have been a lot who would have resigned during that period, who didn't want to, be the people doing the dirty work, so to speak. And also, there were a lot of police who also didn't want to do the vaccination, and so they're all let go, more or less forced out of their jobs. So they're not talking about that. They sacked a bunch of them. And the thing is, you're getting more danger, you're getting more violent crime. It's all over the news. People are seeing the realities of the job. I remember when I was young, I wanted to be a cop and I wanted to be in a SWAT team and all this sort of shit because you watch movies and you think it's going to be cool and fun. Would you, as your job, want to be going and walking up and down, say, Elizabeth Street and trying to talk sense into schizophrenics who are high on drugs and trying to get them sorted out and deal with that day in, day out? I couldn't think of a worse job, so hats off to these people who do this job. I think it's shit, in my honest opinion. When I say shit, I mean what they have to put up with is shit, not the overall job itself. Just the people, just what you have to do.
Has been probably not been put in a positive light by the Victorian government. So they're having problems recruiting. They are short. They're not funding the police force. There's one 24-hour police station in a significant area of the suburbs in which I live in Melbourne. And if you go to several police stations around Melbourne, they...
Show me Stockster stuff. Where do you live, Christy?
So we're closed, go to the next one, you go to the next one. We close at a certain hour, go to the next one. It's really, really difficult. And the data of the coalition shows 43% of crime, which is not against a person. So that's retail crime, burglary, car theft. 43% of those crimes are unsolved when the quarterly data comes out. That's endemic. And no wonder people are buying security equipment. We did it in my block of apartments.
I've been the victim of crime before, and the police didn't catch anyone. They're like, couldn't, but more or less couldn't work it out. I followed up a few times and I just gave up. So, it's not like CSI and they've got all these people out, with the black light and all that sort of stuff, trying to work out if someone stole your bike or broke into your house. They're going to have a full crime scene, and there to go, people, you report it. They do a bit of investigating. They probably get over-swamped. There's too many cases, there's too many reports, and so a lot of stuff goes uneven attended to or looked at. And plus, they're not magicians, they can't catch everybody. So people think, someone stole something from my house, and they're going to be able to locate that person exactly. Although they probably could if they wanted to put the resources into it. I think a lot of the stuff is not worth it basket. They go, looked into it. Next time, keep your bike more secure so it doesn't get stolen. All right, more than halfway, guys. If you're enjoying the content, please sub to the channel. We're trying to get to 10K. Just cracked 9, so thank you all very much. Like, comment, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. If you live in Victoria, if you don't live in Victoria, where do you live in Australia? Tell me what your crime is like there. Because I've definitely noticed it. I haven't been a victim of any crime personally, but I do know people who have been victims of crime, car thefts and assaults recently.
I'm not surprised too. James, when you see the sort of figures I had and, that Chrissy just went through, and the rest of the Victoria, the potholes, the this, the that, it seems to me we're not just talking about a crime problem in this state that is dragging down the rest of the country. We're talking about a moral rot.
Yeah, we absolutely are, and you can sum it up in one word: Labor. They don't believe in objective truths, and you see it everywhere. On the issue of crime, I mean, they don't believe in policing crime, and so now Victoria has a lot of it. I could run through the examples. I'll just give you three. Jail as a last resort has been a Labor policy. Well, that only leads to more crime. But think about policies like putting a heroin injecting room next to a primary school, or refusing to police public drunkenness. So the Victorian government just don't believe in policing crime. It's not that they're incompetent, it's an ideology that they hold to, and they pretend to care when people make enough noise. There's machete attacks, so what do? They put amnesty bins out.
Isn't that the biggest piss take? That's been talked about globally as one of the dumbest things. You got people here sitting in offices thinking about how best to use taxpayers' money to solve this problem of machetes. You know what? We'll just put a bin there. Let's set some bins up, and the criminals will who use these machetes, or even average people who use their machetes, are going to line up in an orderly fashion, faces fully visible for the CCTV cameras, which I'm sure are flanking the whole bin, and will kindly deposit their machete. What do you think? What do you think parents would do? Do you think a parent, if they saw that their kid had a machete, do you think they're going to rush them down to the police station? They're probably going to get rid of the evidence. They're not going to walk down to the police station, mum and dad, and little Barry with his machete, and say, look, yeah, he's done the wrong thing here. We're just going to hand his machete in. They're not going to do that. They're going to say, hide it. Don't you give it to me. I'll get rid of it. The dad, or I just can't see it. I'd love to see the stats of how many machetes ended up in the bins. I wonder if they'll ever release that. I can't see them wanting to actively go and do that because it'd be a failure. But this has been laughed about over the whole world. People who are not in the real world, so you've got public servants, policymakers, Treasury or whatever, sitting in their offices thinking about ways or what they can do here to come up with an idea to do something that looks palatable to the public. Bins, and spend $13 million on getting the bins fabricated and installed.
Outside police stations expecting criminals are going to turn in their weapons, or they promise retailers will get tough on people who harass your staff. They've been promising those laws since May last year, still haven't legislated them. So even when they talk tough, they don't really mean it. But this is a government that says you're disgusting if you dare to ask why 5-year-olds are taught that they may have been born in the wrong body. This is a government that under Daniel Andrews said you were disgusting if you believed in a right to life and you were pro-life rather than anti-abortion. So you're quite right to point out, Andrew, the crime issue is one part of it, but there's a moral degradation right through Victoria that is promoted by Labor, where they don't believe in objective truths. It's subjective reality everywhere. And are we really surprised that we end up with a state where lawlessness is rife?
I know. Look, it just feels so strange. I mean, I live in Victoria. It feels really odd what's going on here. And
it is odd. And I hate to see it. This isn't the place that I grew up in. I've been a born and bred Melburnian, however you want to say it. I've lived here my whole life. Love the place. But I know I come down hard and I say all these things about it. And, I put commentary to these videos, but I'm talking it just from a normal guy on the street, not these people sitting on Sky News. Like, I'm on the ground out there every day. You love the place. It's a real shame. It doesn't look like the place that I grew up in. It's definitely got a completely different vibe. You can try and pin it on many different reasons, and there are many different reasons. But I'm going to say, and be controversial with this one, it's mostly going to be immigration. I know people hate it when I say it. I'm going to get the comments that I'm a racist. I'm not saying every immigrant who comes in here is a knife-wielding psychopath. But if you go and look at these images and these clips played, a lot of the time they're going to be kids of Middle Eastern background or of African descent. And I feel bad for their parents who've probably come here and broken their backs to provide a life for their kids to have a better life. And this is how they're repaid, right? With these kids wanting to be gangsters, doing dumb shit. And as I said, it's also the cost of living. There's a lot of no-hopers out there who don't have any ambition. They don't care. They hate the system. And so they just rebel. And this is why they do it.
It's not healthy. You can't have a society fraying like this. I mean, the violence that I was showed in that video, for instance, Christy, I mean, the machete attacks and all that. A man at a service station nearly having his hand chopped off in a machete.
And that's the thing, the guy at the service station, there was the guy at the shopping centre, there's more than that. And also an everyday occurrence, but these are very serious things. But there's one point I forgot to talk about, and I want to say that and then I'll move on, is the reason as well that a lot of these, it's mostly men, right? Mostly young men, young boys, whatever you want to call them, are doing these sort of things. I don't know, once again, I don't empathise with them at all. Think about how hard it is to get a job out there at the moment. Like how hard it is to actually get money, an entry-level job, a casual job. Like the market is absolutely screwed. The economy is stuffed. So you got these people who are maybe even school dropouts. They can't get a job. They got all this time on their hands. They go and do dumb shit. They try and find a purpose with their gang and group and all this sort of stuff. Not really thinking about the long-term repercussions of what they're doing. Because I think it's a victimless crime. Go rob Bunnings and bloody knock the guy out who is the door greeter. You know, and they have a laugh about it. It's pretty screwed up.
This is really different, isn't it? It is different from before. It's different from other states.
Yeah, it's certainly a different type of crime that's been allowed to flourish here in Victoria. I don't know what the social demography about Victoria in particular is that makes it different to across the border in New South Wales, but I do know it's largely because the government has taken their eye off the ball. And even just going back to my local area, Melbourne viewers will know Chapel Street, where I live, which is the scene of fire bombings around the illegal tobacco and organised crime control of illegal tobacco. And it is out of control, but the Victorian...
Don't get me started on this tobacco. This whole tobacco war was completely avoidable. Don't be scum and put 70% tax on top of the price of cigarettes, saying it's for people's health and it's to support the health system. BS. You know people are addicted. They're going to pay for them one way or another. And guess what? They are paying for them one way or another. They're going and supporting these small local tobacconists and, $2 stores or whatever who got those Manchesters and the double happiness hidden in their shops. Not even hidden. I've seen them on the shelves. It's not even hidden. It's a complete in plain sight. There's not enough police resources to do anything about it. Everyone's buying their smokes from there if you're a smoker because they're $10 a packet. You want to pay $10 or you want to pay 40, 45, $50 for a pack of 20s? Or, Stivos or Winfields. You can get cartons for $90. That's 10 decks for $90. That's 2 packets. I say this as someone who used to be a smoker. I don't smoke anymore. But if I did smoke, I'm telling you right now, I'd get them from there. Get the Mannies. Get a double happiness action. It'll be on. It'll be on. I would very begrudgingly buy cigarettes full price unless I really had a hankering for them and couldn't get the other ones. But as I said, it could be avoided. Cut down the tax. Get rid of the tax. Make these cigarettes in the store as cheap as the ones in the black market, and the black market will bloody disappear because there's no business. Or they're going to have to sell their smokes for like $3 a pack. But that won't happen.
government's response to that was to set up an illegal tobacco task force, which was too little too late, which has 14 tobacco inspectors to go around the whole state and find people who are selling these illegal
tobacco inspector
materials, whereas New South Wales, who doesn't have half the problem that we do here in Victoria, implemented a task force of 48 tobacco inspectors. So you can see that the government isn't taking it seriously. They don't have the money, Andrew, to fund policing, and they don't have the money to fund these task force. They don't have the money to provide simple things like safety lighting in areas of high traffic. Councils are now shouldering the burden of neighbourhood safety and crime prevention initiatives, and it shouldn't be their job. But the Victorian government's broke. You know, there's a lot of budget has gone into projects to nowhere.
Andrew,
Yeah, don't get me started on that, suburban rail loop and all that. I'm going to leave it there, guys, because I'm going to go on a complete other tangent. Let me know what you think about this video today. If you have topic ideas, let me know. You can send them to my email address, thegmanshow@gmail.com. It is on my channel page in the more info area. You can find it. I would like to hear from you. And once again, thank you very much for watching to the end. I appreciate all of you who take the time every day. Thanks.